Go and check. It's hard to know what they want more of.
Over that, we'll get going. The guys operated the systems as I would expect them to. I think there's some learning lessons that we need to take forward in terms of how they perhaps didn't follow the procedure as I'd expect for the secondary incident, in terms of following the methane report that we do and communicating that information. And I'd like them to have a better overview of the tunnel systems as they're using them. For example, in the same incident, I would want them to pay more attention to the fire main and the pumps and that sort of stuff, and they were concentrating more on the ventilation, which was working well. But the guys are now using water, and I want to make sure that that doesn't fail. So that's a lesson learned that I'm going to take back and put back into the training of the operators. Positives. They told talkative members of Surrey Fire and Rescue to be quiet when they needed to, and they took command of that room. Yeah, I'm really proud. I'm really happy with what they did on the overall. I think there's some lessons to be learned in terms that we can take forward into the emergency plan and their training program as well. I mean, I think that's not too much to worry about my side in all fairness.
Liaison with Hampshire in this case, and better liaison with the police and the prison attendants, because there was a big delay, regarding talking really. I know the ambulance crew are always pretty good, so it's got a lot two-way, but there were definitely two. There was a Surrey car and there was a Hampshire car, and never the time showed the ambulance. It's great really. Job got done, really well. I think that's the big one to take away. Other than that, they actually did very well. They did the procedures pretty well. So that's positive. On the fire side of things, taking your lead on this really, because I was coming down to it, as what you mentioned was they didn't do it. Definitely saw what you said about it. They came out into the smoke. And I was talking to the crew commander, what he said was, take the side and go.
That was more held up from the silver car, the Surrey car, if you want to call that, purely because they couldn't take the roof off because they'd done their job and they'd spotted the airbag pipes. So they couldn't take the roof. That
Once the second incident happened with the sea commander, and they were questioning about the ventilation. The first question was, can we turn the ventilation on? And my guy said, well, if you turn it on, it's going to go straight over your guys that are working on there. So it was us that suggested upstream in that respect.
So that was communicated?
That was communicated, but like you said, I did hear him say, oh, they followed the procedure, go and turn left. You know, so it was communicated, but I think they followed their rules right then. Our guys saying that's the best cost package.
Do we keep the sheets, all the sheets?
Learning points from us. One for you guys actually, we felt that maybe the off slip at Hazel Grove was a little bit unclear, so I certainly made a mistake and went past it. So did the pump. So maybe we'll have a look at that in the wash-up afterwards. But other than that, brilliant use of the swipe card, which was a new thing.
Yeah.
So usually the swipe cards went to the secondary control point there, and the CCTV was put up directly onto the scene instead of having to probably manually flick through each one. So I don't know whether you controlled that from the primary. A little bit of confusion over call signs and bits and pieces on the red telephone. But maybe we'll pick that up afterwards as well. So there's some brush up for us certainly there on that initiative. To our attention, so that's it's all good, all good. And that's probably about it from our side. We were in effect we're additional resource to Surrey, so all those communications we weren't privy to, but certainly communication hosting this.
Dave?
Yeah, I mean, right from the outset, I think it's already been brought up about the comms problem of not being able to hear exercise control from start. But once it all got started, excellent liaison, because as soon as our first crew turned up outside, they were passing the message back straight away with what they got that was being passed through to them from the initial fire crew on scene. So that was really good communication right from the outset. And I heard that straight away, so that was really good. Positives from what I saw with what the fire brigade were doing as well. Really quick going around all casualties, really good at getting the lorry driver away and trying to move him back out of the way to a safe area rather than just standing around the cars where he was going to be in the way. So that was really positive. But, really worked well. Really good handover when they got there, and then basically just everybody just got on and worked together. There was no them and us or any of this. It was all fire and ambulance and then police as they got there as well. Everybody just gradually got on with it and did what they needed to do. One thing that I don't know whether it's a possibility for a future, if once this tunnel is known to be completely blocked and it's sterile further on from the incident, is it possible that vehicles could be brought in on the same bore simply to save the problem of all the equipment having to be carried in from this carriageway through and into the other carriageway, because that took an awful lot of time, and for fire brigade as well, because obviously their equipment's heavier than ours, fortunately for us. But it would have been a lot quicker to remove casualties straight into a vehicle or get extra equipment if you need it, if they'd have been that much closer to the scene. I don't know if that's possible, but it's just a possible point. A couple of things that's internal for us. I was aware that the smoke had started, most other people weren't really, but the first thing that really told me the smoke started because I heard the fans come on. That was really, really quick. Somebody must have picked that up very quickly in the control and done that, because that seemed to take virtually seconds, and it was really, really good. One point from our chap who was up at the tactical, as I mentioned to you, they were having to stand outside in the rain, so it was very difficult for them to keep logs, etc., because they weren't able to be undercover. So they didn't seem to be able to get inside. And perhaps something that we need to get together about. There seemed to be a number of different fire officers that were coming out to them and asking questions, and it wasn't until quite late on in the incident there seemed to be one person who took it upon themselves to be overall command, and actually then they had one person to talk to. But that's just one of those things that could happen in a real situation. But it resolved itself in the fullness of time, so not a massive problem. Everybody said how good it was to have realistic age casualties, because quite often you get school kids doing this, and it's just not realistic because they wouldn't be doing that, and it just makes it so much more realistic when you've got people that actually look as if they're meant to be there and should be there. So really positive from that. All the staff that were there have said how much they've enjoyed it, how good it was, and what a good learning experience it's been for them. So yeah, thank you very much for a great exercise. It was really good.
Said that we didn't know which fire officer was in charge at one point, and I'd actually think so many have got bibs on with things on them, and you had incident commander and then barrack commander or something like that. We didn't know which one it was, and we had different ones, but that was just a minor one.
I found it really useful, and also felt very included. You know, it was great from the outset. We sort of went to the command point. Good communication between all the partners there, and there's also a good airwave test for our own airwave sets and things as well. Great communication on that side, which worked very nicely. And yeah, I think that side of it worked very well. A learning point, probably for us more internally, is around the number of notional sort of calls we did, and it's that thing of perhaps be a little bit nice to some of the calls and things. We could have actually tested the calls a little bit more.
It's a little bit hard to do sometimes.
It was not the liaison, but the location was poor. It was raining, and I don't think that worked very well. Also, I don't think that the use of the IW probably was the wrong thing at the time. I think it's an internal discussion to have, but the IW may not have been available. She may have been on the M25 you know, and so there's that to discuss. One of the other learning points for us, which we discovered, was that we couldn't pressurise the non-incident board with the ventilation with the cross-passage doors open. So that's why the message was broadcast. So that was a good, you know, we're going to have to bring that out somewhere in the procedures and communicate that to the fire service and others. You know, natural thing is to try and get the equipment through easily, isn't it? You know? But perhaps that's another discussion. But generally, all these systems and equipment responded well, and I don't think we had any hiccups with those, did we, Lee?
Well, we'll look at the SCADA logs to look at how the systems behaved in greater detail.
Yeah.
The ventilation works, the fire main works, so that's the main thing, isn't it, really? If there's a fire.
Well, we had
the PA definitely works, I don't know how to do that in the NCC.
We had some comment about some of the access to some of the fire engines, was it?
Yeah, you put the gate down to a pretty solid down cross-patches 7 on this side, and that take a part to it.
On the hydrant or the
So that was it really. Other than that, the guys performed well.
To get full comprehension of how things panned out in the board, because my focus was a lot on what's happening in the control room. Nobody's mentioned Jessup today, which I'm surprised at, because this is a beautiful example of Jessup working, and I think we need to capture that and the debrief that you know, multi-agency working on site, getting your hands dirty together, actually works. And I think that was proven today, so we need to acknowledge that. I think with the way the exercise was run, we were pushing to start on time, and I think that made life just a little bit uncomfortable for the control room staff. But we were keen to get going, so I think if we'd delayed much longer, then people would have been losing interest before we actually got cracking. And consequently, I think there was a bit of a delay from our perspective before responders actually started turning up, because there were a little bit of a pause in the control room just while we got ourselves sorted. I think at one stage we probably slipped by about half an hour against the timeline, but managed to drag it back, and I think we ended about 15 minutes beyond our expectation. So hopefully people are thinking, you know, this is dragging on. But generally, I mean, there was a bit of flexibility built into the timeline, and I think we used that to good advantage, and hopefully we achieved the outcomes that they were expecting. It certainly looked as though they had. The communications was an issue, certainly from the control side of things, because it was difficult to deliver the inject on occasions. And without the ability to be able to support that with mobile phones, there was no sort of secondary means of communication, so we couldn't get you on the radio, we just had to wait until we could get a message passed by some other method.
made about that. Whether they were adequately gave reassurance where necessary, whether we could have been a bit more informative is something in terms of developing those messages, but I think obviously in terms of were the right messages given, yes they were. That's what we tested tonight.
I think that probably Hindhead.com and Hatfield all have the same message.
The same message. Is there